A Sony fanboy tries the Fuji X-S10. What? What up, y'all? Tight shirt Terry Warfield back in the building for another video. Hope you're having a great day so far. If this is your first time here, yo, a big fat welcome to you. And if you're part of the fam, you part of the squad, you came back, give me a hug. Welcome back. So in this video, we're gonna talk about my thoughts on the Fuji X-S10, but I'm not gonna do like a review because most of us, including me, all y'all out here at Terry Warfield land, most of us shoot Sony, right? So I thought it would be more beneficial to let you know what it was like to use a Fujifilm camera as a 10-year Sony shooter, because I've never got to use a Fuji camera before. I've held them, I've seen them, heard great things about them, but never got to actually use one. So how did I get this camera? The Pixel Connection, which is one of my favorite camera stores, they hit me up like, yo Terry, we got this Fuji camera, do you want to test it out? And I'm like, yo, is macaroni, cheese, and noodles? Obviously, yes, I want to test it out. So big shout out to the Pixel Connection for sending this camera over for me to test out. They sent the X-S10. They also sent the Fuji 16mm f1.4 lens. So make sure y'all go check their camera store out. Link is in the description. Thank y'all so much for sending this bad boy over. I've had about 2 weeks to play with it. 2 weeks to use it, take pictures, videos. I've taken it with me, done some vlogging. I've used it how a normal person would use a camera. I wish I would have had more time with it, but unfortunately only had about 2 weeks. So I can only give you my thoughts and experiences for those 2 weeks. Now, conversely, like I said, I've used Sony cameras for like the last 10 years. So I've used all of their APS-C cameras, full frame cameras, all of that good stuff. I know Sony in and out. Fuji, I know nothing about. Now, real quick, 2 things that we got to get out the way before we move forward, because y'all ask, number 1, all the time. All of the music in this video is from Epidemic Sound. There is a link in the description and in the pinned comment if you want to try Epidemic Sound for 30 days, or if you want to download the songs that I use in this video. You like it, continue the membership. If not, just cancel it. The second thing is, if you like camera content and you like some sauce, some personality, some swag with some knowledge, make sure you hit the subscribe button. While you at it, drop one of these a thumb, a like. Y'all don't know how important this freaking thumb is, so go ahead and do that right now. So my initial impressions as a longtime Sony user trying Fuji out for the first time, I like it. I do like it. I will say there are a lot of things that are foreign, very foreign, which, I mean, that's not a fault of the camera. Using one ecosystem and then trying to get acclimated to another ecosystem in 2 weeks, yeah, it didn't really work out too well. This thing was very, very foreign to me. And some of the things I don't like about it might be due to me not having enough time to figure out all of the nuanced stuff like I have with the Sony. See, the thing about Sony is the menus were never good, right? You just kind of used them and you got used to them. Well, except for the Sony a7S III, because I love the menus in this camera right here. But as a whole, Sony hasn't had the best menu systems. You just kind of learn to use them. And the Fuji menu system, I think, is very well thought out, even though it's confusing to me. I like how a lot of the options that you select in the menu, the next option over is your next logical thought, right? Whereas Sony menus, they just kind of don't make sense and there's abbreviations for everything. In Fuji, they give you descriptions, they give you visuals on some tabs on what the menu options do, and I really, really appreciated that. So I think that's been my biggest hurdle that I've had to get over with the X-S10, is just freaking learning how to use it. I will tell you, I love the way the camera looks, and this is a staple of Fuji. We all know how Fuji cameras, they got that vintage look, they all look good. This ain't no different. Look at it. I mean, it is a camera that looks like it means business, even though it is a small $1,000 consumer or prosumer grade camera. It looks good. I love the shiny surfaces, I love the build quality. Like, this thing feels solid. I gotta say, more solid than the Sony competitors. So like more solid than the 61, 66, even the A7 cameras. This feels super, super good. Ergonomically, I like the deep grip. I know that's been a complaint with the X-T3 and X-T4 because, you know, I did my research. But the grip is kind of small though, even though it is substantial. It's a small camera. The pinky definitely hangs off, but she's thick. You know I like them thick. The battery has been so-so. It is a small battery, and Also, I don't really know if that's fair because I'm used to Sony cameras and Z batteries, but to be honest, the 6000 series cameras without Z batteries, the battery life in those cameras, it ain't really the best either. So I guess that's a wash. Like I said, the ergonomics are great. There's freaking buttons everywhere. I love the joystick on the back of the XS10 more than any Sony joystick I've ever used. It just goes where you want it to. And then the menu system in this camera, even though I do think it's confusing, it is fast, like blazing fast. Like there's no lag switching from page to page or tab to tab. Like it just does what you want. There is a flash built into it. However, you know, we don't use pop-up flashes around here, and tons of customizable buttons. And on the side, you got a 3.5mm headphone jack, USB-C and micro HDMI, all in a small package. I really like the addition right here next to the EVF of this customizable button. That is clutch. It's like where your thumb naturally rests at. So if you wanted to assign this to like AF on instead of it being right here, or whatever you want this to be, it's right here. While we're talking about the EVF, I think this is one of my biggest disappointments with this camera. Now again, I get it. It is not a Sony A7S III. It is not one of Fuji's higher end offerings. This is a mid-tier, right between like X-T3, X-T4, A66, 6400, Panasonic G9. Like it's right there, right? So I get it. But using this EVF on this camera and also this rear flippy screen, which shout out to it being a flippy screen, great for vlogging, great for like, you know, B-roll and all of that stuff. It is a flippy screen, but it is super low resolution. I don't like it at all, nor do I like the Sony cameras, the 6000 series cameras, EVFs or screens. So again, that's a wash. I'm not a super fan of either of them, so I can't really say that one is better than the other. But like I said, this thing is sturdy, the screen is sturdy. Even though I'm not a fan of the EVF or the flip screen, I think those are like my only major gripes externally. Now, what I really love about this camera, and this is probably the same with all Fuji cameras, so I hear, because, you know, like I said, I did my research. The pictures and videos coming out of this camera, oh my God, they look so freaking good, except for in lower light situations, they are pretty noisy. Sony definitely still gets denied when it comes to low light performance, but like the picture and video colors, oh my God, they're so good. Like I think Fuji's might have my favorite look, especially with all of these built-in film simulations that actually come from real film simulations. They're not just like filters, they're actual real film simulations. Eterna, whoo, it's cold. Like they look so good right out the camera, whereas with Sony, you kind of gotta massage them to get them to look the way you want them to look. This camera is great for run and gun, point and shoot. I don't want to have to edit my video as far as the color grade goes for the next 3 hours. Everything out of this camera looks A1. The photos, the video. What I really like about the camera also is you do get more options over HDMI, like recording to like an Atomos Ninja, than you do with the Sony. Sony is just a regular 420 8-bit. Even if you connect a Atomos Ninja, with this camera you can get 422 10-bit. Big kudos to Fuji on that. My other major gripe with Fuji, and again, this may be part of my ignorance for not fully understanding everything about it, but I just don't find the autofocus to be anywhere near as confident as Sony cameras. And I know the XS10 does have one of Fuji's better autofocus systems in it, but even though it works, I mean, I can't say that it's bad because it's not bad, but it just doesn't compare to Sony. Sony definitely holds the edge when it comes to low light performance and autofocus. Fuji definitely has the edge when it comes to ergonomics, menu design, built-in film simulations, colors, those types of things. So I don't really know if it's any better or worse than any Sony APS-C camera or any other APS-C camera for that matter, because number one, like I said, I haven't used it enough, but number two, all cameras are really good. For $1,000 there's so much competition, and you kind of can't go wrong with any of them. I think what it really boils down to is I think this is a great camera for $1,000, and it is a great camera for me to get my initial Fuji impressions with, because I will say, aside from the things I don't like, and aside from me not having enough time to get used to it, I did like using this camera. But I think it really boils down to ecosystem. I think the major disadvantage with Fuji versus Sony is just the lack of available lenses. Sony has tons of lenses from Sony themselves, also from third-party manufacturers, where the Fuji doesn't really have that many, plus it doesn't really have that many third-party options either. So, I mean, great if you can find the trio of lenses that you need from Fuji, but I'm sure you can probably find more options on Sony at probably cheaper prices versus the Fuji ecosystem when it comes to lenses. So those are my thoughts. A long time Sony user liked using a Fuji camera for the first time. However, I still think that Sony is dear to me, still holds a place in my heart. Ecosystem, I'm used to them. Low light performance, autofocus capability, good colors, even though they do need some work in post to get them to look real good. But just the amount of technology and innovation in Sony cameras, for me, I don't think you can beat it. So anyways, like I said, thank you again to the Pixel Connection for sending this camera over, letting me use this joint. I really appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all check their links out down in the description. And I'm curious to know, Sony users, have you ever tried a Fuji camera? Or maybe you are a Fuji user thinking about Sony. Were my tips helpful to you? Let me know down there in the comments. I will be down there kicking it with y'all. As you can hear, I'm kind of losing my voice, so I think that means we are done talking. If you made it this far, shout out to you. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you drop a like. Until next time, I'm out. Peace and chicken grease. Terry Warfield. Peace.